What do you feel when you see this color? It's not just blue. It's the promise of something precious. The flutter of anticipation in your chest. It's the memory of a special moment or the dream of one to come. It's a feeling, a very specific, carefully crafted feeling. Now, what if I told you that feeling is owned? That the color itself, this exact shade of hopeful, luminous blue, is the legal property of a corporation? Not the box, not the name on the box. The color. And it's not just this color. What about the deep, dependable brown of the delivery truck that brings a package to your door? That's owned too. The triumphant three-note chime that signals the start of your evening news? Owned. The very scent of your childhood. That sweet, slightly salty, unmistakable smell of Play-Doh. Legally, that smell belongs to a toy company. We move through a world saturated with sights, sounds, and smells that we believe are part of a shared human experience. But in the invisible world of intellectual property, a battle is constantly being waged to capture and own the very senses we use to perceive reality. This isn't a story about logos and brand names. This is a story about the ownership of perception itself. It's a journey into a hidden legal landscape, where a sound can be a fortress, a shape can be a weapon, and a corporation can trademark a feeling. Prepare to see, hear, and even smell the world around you in a way you never have before. The foundation of our story begins with a simple, almost deceptive idea: distinctiveness. In the brutal arena of the marketplace, the greatest challenge is to be remembered, to stand out from the noise. For centuries the tools were simple: a unique name, a clever logo, the swoosh, the golden arches. These are the classic foot soldiers of branding, what we call traditional trademarks. But as the world grew louder, more crowded, these soldiers were no longer enough. Brands needed something deeper, something that bypassed the conscious mind and spoke directly to our instincts, our memories, our emotions. They needed to own not just a symbol, but a sensation. And that's where the color wars began. Let's go back to that little blue box. Tiffany & Co. began using their signature color in 1845. It wasn't just a random choice. That specific shade of Robin's egg blue was wildly popular among Victorian brides, who often gave their attendants a dove-shaped brooch set with turquoise. The color symbolized love, luxury, and the most important day of a woman's life. Tiffany didn't just choose a color, they captured an emotion in a pigment. For over a century, that connection was informal, built through relentless association. But in 1998, they made it official. They trademarked Pantone number 1837, the number an homage to their founding year. Now, what does that actually mean? It doesn't mean Tiffany owns the color blue. You can paint your house, your car, your fingernails. Tiffany Blue and their lawyers won't descend from the heavens. But if you try to sell jewelry in a box of that exact color, you are infringing on their property. They own that shade in that context. They have a legal monopoly on a specific shade of blue for use on boxes, bags, and in-store advertising for luxury goods, and they defend it with terrifying ferocity. Other companies have followed suit, creating their own color empires. Owens Corning fought a landmark case to trademark the color pink for their fiberglass insulation. Their argument: they had spent so much money advertising their Pink Panther mascot and pink product that when a customer saw pink insulation, they didn't just see a color, they saw Owens Corning. The court agreed. The color had acquired what lawyers call secondary meaning. It was no longer just a color, it was a beacon for a brand. This is the key that unlocks this entire hidden world. Secondary meaning. It's the legal alchemy that transforms something common into something proprietary. Think of UPS. Is there anything more ordinary than the color brown? It's the color of dirt, of cardboard, of wood. Yet that specific, deep, no-nonsense shade of Pullman brown has been the company's signature since 1916. They chose it because it was practical, hiding dirt well on their delivery trucks. Over 100 years and billions of dollars in logistics and advertising, that mundane brown has been imbued with a new meaning. Reliability. The package is here. It's safe. When UPS trademarked their brown, they weren't just protecting a color. They were protecting the feeling of trust they had spent a century building. T-Mobile did it with magenta, Home Depot with orange, Cadbury with a specific shade of purple for its chocolates in the UK. Each one is a sliver of the visible spectrum, fenced off and claimed in the name of commerce. But our perception of the world is not just flat color. It's three-dimensional. It has form and texture and weight. What if a brand could own not just its color, but its very shape? In 1915, the Coca-Cola Company was facing a crisis. Their iconic drink was being imitated by hundreds of competitors, and in the low light of a drugstore or the chill of an icebox, it was easy to grab the wrong bottle. They issued a creative challenge to glass companies across America. We need a bottle so distinct that you would recognize it by feel in the dark or lying broken on the ground. The winning design from the Root Glass Company was inspired by the ridged, curved shape of a cocoa pod, an ingredient they mistakenly thought was in the drink. It didn't matter. The result was a masterpiece of industrial design. That contour bottle is perhaps one of the most successful non-traditional trademarks of all time. It is a shape that is synonymous with a taste. For decades, even after they began using other containers, Coca-Cola fought to protect that shape. In 1960, they achieved something remarkable. The United States Patent and Trademark Office recognized the bottle itself, with no logo or text, as a trademark. They owned the silhouette. This opened the floodgates. Think of the triangular prism of a Toblerone bar, designed to mimic the Swiss Alps. That shape is trademarked. The pinched waste bottle of Mr. Clean? Trademarked. The elegant four-pip shape of a Hershey's Kiss, a design that has remained virtually unchanged for over a century? Fiercely protected. When a competitor, the Goelitz Confectionery Co., started selling a similar Kiss-ette, Hershey's sued and won, cementing their ownership of that little foil-wrapped mountain of chocolate. The very form of the treat you're eating is someone's intellectual property. This concept extends beyond the product itself to the packaging, and even to the buildings where business is conducted. The design of an Apple store, the clean glass frontage, the uncluttered wooden tables, the specific layout of products, is protected as trade dress. It's a holistic trademark of an environment. When Microsoft launched its own retail stores, its lawyers had to be excruciatingly careful to create a space that felt modern and tech-focused without infringing on the minimalist temple that Apple had built and owned. McDonald's doesn't just own the Golden Arches logo. They have historically protected the architectural design of their restaurants, including the distinctive double mansard roof of their older buildings. You are not just entering a restaurant, you are entering a piece of registered intellectual property. They are selling you an experience whose very physical container is a branded asset. The world becomes a landscape of owned shapes designed to guide you, comfort you, and ultimately to open your wallet. Close your eyes. What did you just hear? You heard the news. You heard prestige. You heard decades of broadcasting history condensed into less than 2 seconds of sound. That 3-note sequence known as the NBC chimes is one of the very first sounds to ever be granted a trademark in the United States, all the way back in 1950. It was born from the radio network's need to signal its identity across the airwaves, a sonic logo that was as recognizable as its visual one. And in that moment, the concept of owning a sound was born. Think about the sheer power of this. A sound is ethereal. It exists for a moment and then vanishes. Yet it can be captured, registered, and owned like a piece of land. The roar of the MGM lion? Trademarked. That majestic, fearsome sound that has opened thousands of films was first recorded in 1928 from a lion named Jackie. Over the years, 5 different lions have held the role, their roars layered and mixed to create the final iconic sound. MGM owns the audio fingerprint of a lion's power. Intel owns the 5-note bong that has signaled the brain of your computer booting up for decades. It's a sound of potential, of processing power, of modernity. That sound, composed by Walter Verzoa in the 90s, is estimated to be played somewhere in the world every 5 minutes. It's an auditory empire. The list is an invisible symphony playing around us every single day. The A-flat quack. The THX deep note that rumbles through your bones in a movie theater. The gentle, futuristic chime of a T-Mobile phone. even the distinctive, guttural, syncopated rumble of a Harley-Davidson engine. Yes, for a time Harley-Davidson tried to trademark the sound of their V-twin engine. They argued that the potato-potato-potato sound was a core part of their brand identity, a sound of rebellion and freedom that no other motorcycle could replicate. The legal battle raged for 6 years, with other motorcycle companies fiercely opposing it. In the end, Harley dropped the case, facing mounting legal costs and the sheer difficulty of defining and defending such a complex mechanical sound. But the very fact they tried reveals the ambition of modern branding, to own not just a name or a logo, but the very heartbeat of their machine. And the world of sonic branding is only getting more sophisticated. Think of the 2-beat ta-dum that accompanies the Netflix logo. That sound was almost a goat bleating. Seriously. The creators were looking for something quirky and memorable, but they settled on that simple, impactful sound, created by knocking a wedding ring on a wooden cabinet, layered with other effects. It's now the sonic trigger for a global entertainment addiction. It's the sound of settling in, of escape, and it is, of course, owned. These sounds are not just jingles or theme songs. They are carefully engineered psychological triggers. They are shortcuts to a brand's entire identity, delivered directly into our brains through our ears. They are property, as solid in the eyes of the law as the device they're playing from. The visuals shift to a soft, warm, almost dreamlike sequence. A child playing with Play-Doh. The narrator's voice becomes even more personal and intimate. We've covered sight and sound. But what about the most primal, most memory-linked sense of all? What about smell? Can you own a scent? The answer is a quiet and frankly astonishing yes. But it is the final frontier of intellectual property, a legal wilderness where only the most determined brands dare to venture. The problem with trademarking a smell is fundamental. How do you describe it? A trademark application has to be a clear, objective representation of what is being protected. You can draw a logo, you can write a musical score, but how do you write down a smell? There is no universal language for scent. It's deeply personal, deeply subjective. Yet, in 1990, a company called Clark's O'Neill's achieved the impossible. They were granted the very first scent trademark in the United States, and it was for something utterly mundane, sewing thread. They created a thread that was infused with a high-impact floral fragrance reminiscent of plumeria blossoms. Their legal argument was brilliant. They claimed that for visually impaired customers, the scent was the only way to identify their specific brand of thread. It wasn't just a pleasant smell, it was a functional identifier. It served the core purpose of a trademark, to indicate source. The trademark was granted. This cracked open the door just a little. Since then, a handful of other brave companies have followed. Hasbro, the makers of Play-Doh, managed to secure a trademark for its iconic scent. After decades of children recognizing it instantly, they finally managed to convince the government that the smell had acquired that magical secondary meaning. Their official description in the trademark filing is a masterpiece of legal poetry. A unique scent formed through the combination of a sweet, slightly musky, vanilla-like fragrance with slight overtones of cherry, and the natural smell of a salted wheat-based dough. They had to put words to an entire childhood. Verizon has a trademark on a flowery musk scent that they diffuse in their retail stores. The goal is to create a consistent, pleasant experience that you associate with their brand, whether you're in a store in Miami or Seattle. This is scent as atmosphere, scent as branding. The company Grendene has a trademark on the bubblegum scent they infuse into their jelly sandals. You don't just see the shoe, you smell it, creating a multi-sensory brand identity. But the failures are just as telling as the successes. Many have tried to trademark the scent of leather for synthetic products, or the smell of coffee for coffee shops, but these are generally rejected. Why? Because they are considered functional. The smell of leather makes fake leather seem more authentic. The smell of coffee is a natural byproduct of the business. A trademark cannot be a core, functional element of the product itself. It has to be a distinct identifier. The plumeria scent on the thread was not functional. Thread doesn't need to smell like flowers to work. The Play-Doh scent is not essential to the clay's function. That is the razor-thin line a company must walk to own a piece of the air itself. It is the most difficult and perhaps the most invasive form of branding that exists. To lay claim to a fragrance is to attempt to own a memory, to bottle a ghost. The pace of the video quickens. A rapid montage of various clips. A Lamborghini scissor doors opening upwards, a hand running over the unique velvet-textured label of a wine bottle, the layout of a grocery store. And the quest for ownership doesn't stop there. The world of non-traditional trademarks is a cabinet of curiosities, a testament to the boundless creativity of legal and marketing departments. Can you trademark emotion? Absolutely. Lamborghini has protection for the upward, scissor-like motion of their car doors. It is a kinetic signature, a piece of automotive choreography that is as much a part of the brand as the bull on the hood. The University of Arkansas has trademarked a cheer the Woo Pig Sooie call. They own the specific words and cadence of that sound when used to promote a sports team. What about a texture, a feeling? This is known as a tactile trademark. The American Wholesale Marketers Association owns a trademark for a specific crinkly wrapping paper used on their gold foil-wrapped chocolate coins. The distinctive texture and sound of the foil are part of their brand identity. The makers of Kong dog toys have a trademark on the snowman-like shape and the chewy texture of their rubber toys. Even the feel of a product can be proprietary. The list keeps going, pushing the boundaries of what we conceive of as property. A specific building interior, like the Apple Store. A hologram, like the one Dove uses on its credit cards. A specific pattern, like the Burberry check or the Louis Vuitton monogram, which are so aggressively defended they have become legendary in the legal world. The single red lacquered sole of a Christian Louboutin high-heeled shoe, a flash of color that signifies luxury and has been the subject of bitter international court battles with competitors like Yves Saint Laurent. Even something as simple as a name tag design. Walmart, for a time, claimed trade dress protection over the simple blue vest and name tag combination worn by their employees. They argued that this look and feel was a distinct indicator of their store. We are surrounded, inundated by these invisible claims of ownership. The color of a Post-it note, the square shape of the Ghirardelli chocolate, the way a package is opened, the jingle you can't get out of your head. Each one is a flag planted on a tiny piece of our sensory territory. It's a universe of micro-monopolies that, when taken together, construct the very fabric of our consumer reality. They are the building blocks of desire, the architecture of persuasion, and they are all, in the cold, hard eyes of the law, someone's property. The video slows down. The visuals become more contemplative, a person walking through a busy city square, bombarded by ads, sounds, and logos. The music is reflective, slightly melancholic. We have journeyed through the senses, sight, sound, shape, smell, touch, and found that nearly every facet of our perception can be, and has been, claimed as property. On one hand, it's a testament to human ingenuity. It's the story of how businesses strive to connect with us on a deeper, more emotional level, to create identities that are not just seen or read, but felt. In a world of infinite choice, these sensory trademarks are lighthouses, guiding us toward the familiar and the trusted. They are the reason you can spot a Tiffany box from across a room, or recognize a Coke bottle with your eyes closed. They create a kind of order in the chaos of the marketplace, but there is another side to this story, a more unsettling one, as more and more of our shared sensory landscape is sliced up and sold. Where does it end? Is there a point where protecting a brand infringes upon our collective creative and cultural commons? The musician who can't use a certain sequence of 3 notes, the artist who is sued for using a specific shade of pink, the small business owner who receives a cease and desist letter because their store smells vaguely similar to a competitor's trademarked scent. There is a fine line between a brand building its identity and a brand claiming ownership of a fundamental human experience. The color of joy, the sound of comfort, the scent of nostalgia, these things feel like they should belong to everyone. The next time you walk through the world, pay attention, really pay attention. Notice the specific shade of orange on a hardware store sign. Listen for the chime your phone makes when you get a message. Feel the shape of the bottle in your hand. Ask yourself, is this an experience or is it an advertisement? Is this a piece of the world or is it a piece of property? The lines are blurring more every day, and in that blur, in that subtle space between what is ours and what is owned, lies the entire unspoken story of the modern world. It's a story that is being written all around us, not in words, but in colors, shapes, and sounds. And if you found this journey as fascinating as we have, consider subscribing for more deep dives into the hidden systems that shape our lives. What's the most surprising trademark you've encountered? Let us know in the comments below. Think about it. The world will never look or sound or smell quite the same again.